First at 4, Warren police revealed new information about arrests connected to racist vandalism. The homeowners talk about something good that came out of this painful time. It's the day after the chaos in Cleveland. We're tracking the presidential candidates' next moves, and we're hearing the next debate could be very different. Paula.
Turning victims of human trafficking into survivors is made even more difficult for a local organization fighting for its own survival. I'm Paula Tutman. I'll show you how Hope for Human Trafficking is hoping for a little help itself.
And we've got a line of gusty thunderstorms that's moving in for the drive home. Find out how that's going to affect your commutes and the frosty temperatures beyond. Right now, first at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, a Warren family is speaking out after police arrest a man in a hate crime investigation. Police arrested a 24-year-old white man last night. Investigators say he lives in the same neighborhood as the Hall family. The Hall suffered a series of attacks, including a rock through a window, slashed tires, and messages of hate written on their cars. The homeowners say they've received overwhelming support throughout this ordeal.
Something so hateful turned out to be comforting to know that people that didn't even know our names were coming to see about us. I got letters from Florida to people that used to live in Warren that were comforting us.
The suspect faces several charges, including ethnic intimidation and weapons charges. He is set to be arraigned and charged tomorrow morning. Breaking news just into our newsroom. Another domino falls in the UAW corruption scandal. Former union president Dennis Williams pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges. Williams admitted he and other officials took union funds to live a lavish lifestyle that included expensive vacations. Ahead of his guilty plea, the UAW confirms Williams resigned his membership with the union on September 18th. He is the 15th person charged in the UAW corruption investigation. Williams faces up to 5 years in prison. Layoffs and furloughs are coming to workers with the Tigers, Red Wings, and Fox Theater. This morning, Ilitch Holdings announced it is realigning business operations. According to a letter sent to employees, workers on the business side will be impacted. Baseball and hockey operations staff are expected to not be affected. More than 200 sporting and entertainment events have been canceled since mid-March due to the pandemic. Well, let's check in on our coronavirus update today. You probably know by now we get the very latest information every single day right before this newscast. So the latest information here. Today, the state reporting more than 1,000 new cases in the past 24 hours. We've also seen another 11 deaths connected to the virus. If you missed it late yesterday, Governor Gretchen Whitmer extended Michigan's state of emergency through October 27th. Now, the emergency order supports Whitmer's restrictions on businesses and gatherings during the pandemic. All right, we definitely want to keep our eyes on the skies this evening. Watch out for those thunderstorms and the high winds. Meteorologist Ben Bailey is here to take us through what we can expect this evening.
Yeah, Karen, it's a fall line of thunderstorms. We're not anticipating anything severe, but there has been a little bit of small hail on the other side of the state and definitely some lightning strikes with these storms as they move through. Right now, the strongest storms are up there around Saginaw as they start to move into Genesee County. You can see that just starting to push into the western portion of the county. So Clio, you'll be seeing that in just a few minutes. Mount Morris in about 8 minutes. And then further to the south, these storms have weakened a little bit since coming out of Kalamazoo, but there's a pretty intense line, at least of downpours there from Chelsea and at least to the northern sections of Lenawee County. So you can see the towns in the path there. Dexter in next 8 minutes, Manchester in about 11. And if it holds together, Bridgewater, you'll be seeing that in about 24 minutes from now. Now, as far as what we can expect for the remainder of tonight, I think by 8 o'clock, this is going to be pretty much wrapped up. But gusty winds, lightning, some small hail, all possibilities for the evening commute. So we'll be watching that and some frosty numbers beyond in just a few minutes, Karen.
All right, thank you, Ben. Many American voters are still trying to absorb one of the most combative, aggressive, and least informative presidential debates we've ever seen. Today, the candidates push forward, and we are hearing the next debate could be very different. Kimberly Gill in the newsroom. So, Kim, what's going to change?
Hi, Karen. Good afternoon. The Commission on Presidential Debate says it will add, quote, new tools in order to maintain order in the upcoming presidential debates. During last night's meeting, President Trump frequently interrupted Joe Biden and vice versa and ignored moderator Chris Wallace. The nonpartisan commission says it's carefully considering its options and will announce new measures shortly. Meanwhile, today, former Vice President Joe Biden and his wife are traveling through Pennsylvania and Ohio. The Democratic nominee is on an Amtrak train kicking off his Build Back Better Express tour. In the past hour, President Trump left the White House heading to a campaign rally in Minnesota. While Biden seemed frustrated with last night's debate, the president says he felt very comfortable.
I thought the debate last night was great. We've gotten tremendous reviews on it. We're hitting what people want, law and order, which Biden was unable to even talk about because it'd lose the radical left, his radical left followers. I don't think there's too many of them left.
And I tried to speak directly into the camera to the American people, to talk about their concerns, to talk about what's on their mind, to talk about what I would do were I president. Trump has no plans, no ideas, didn't express a single plan that he had about how he's going to move forward, and it made me realize that just how much is at stake.
Well, right now, the next scheduled debate is on October 7th. That's between the vice presidential candidates, Mike Pence and Kamala Harris. We'll see if those new procedures are in place by then. The next presidential debate is set for October 15th. We'll have more tonight on the news at 5 and 6. Karen, we'll send it back to you.
Always appreciate it. Thank you, Kim.
Sure.
A judge has approved a request by Kentucky's Attorney General to delay the release of recordings from the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case, but he didn't get everything he wanted. The audio was set to be released today. Attorney General Daniel Cameron wanted to put it off for a week to allow time to redact sensitive information. Instead, the judge gave him 2 days. Cameron has until noon on Friday to release the recordings. A grand juror in the case asked a judge to release the transcripts and audio and wants permission to speak freely. No officers are facing charges for Taylor's death. We know many Michigan businesses are really struggling during this pandemic. Local nonprofits are also fighting to stay afloat, including an organization that supports survivors of human trafficking. Our Paula Tutman takes a look at the unique challenges those survivors are facing and how the pandemic is making their struggle even more difficult.
It is not how or why a woman finds herself as a sex worker that matters.
The last 16 years of my life, I was on a path to self-destruction. I lived on the streets and was sex trafficked on a daily basis.
It is only important that she is being abused and forced to sell her most precious commodity, herself, body and soul, and must be rescued. And when women are rescued, they need a place to refine themselves and be brought back to life. Hope Against Trafficking in Pontiac is one of those places.
This program helps you regain respect for yourself, your family, and your Heavenly Father. It feels good to wake up with love, faith, and spirituality in your heart.
I'm a survivor of sexual assault myself. We're helping them rewrite their stories. We're giving them a sense of dignity again and just loving them for who they are. We help them with recovery if there's addiction issues. We give them intensive trauma therapy. We do equine therapy with horses. We teach them life skills. Some of them need help learning how to cook, how to clean, things like that. And then we're also starting a job readiness program.
Fighting and saving survivors of human trafficking is difficult work to begin with. Throw in a pandemic, and it becomes exponentially harder.
And the other thing that's been difficult is having to switch everything to virtual. So all of their NA or AA meetings, some of their therapy sessions, things like that have all had to go virtual. And it's been hard because when you mix PTSD with addictions and things like that, it's hard to not have, the normal human interactions every day.
From entry to exit, the long crawl from surviving to thriving costs a minimum of $30,000 per woman. And the life's blood of any nonprofit is the ability to raise money.
All of our fundraisers were canceled due to the pandemic.
And while COVID-19 threatens so much for all of us, it's programs like these that also join the list for life support.
But it is crucial that we raise this money to be able to stay open.
Yeah, and here's the thing. These nonprofits are definitely doing more in these times, and they absolutely have to do it with less. Incidentally, if you know somebody who needs help, or if you are able to help this particular organization, we're going to put contact information so you can reach out to them on our social media platforms. Really, really concerning stuff, Karen.
Most appreciated for that information. Thanks, Paula. Still ahead here, first at 4, we're going to check in with Dr. Frank McGeorge.
We're learning more about how older adults respond to one of the frontrunners in the race to find a coronavirus vaccine. Ahead, the latest research and why this result is so important in the fight against COVID-19.
Up first, a neighbor races to the rescue when her friend is under attack.
I told him if he doesn't leave or leave her alone, that I was going to do some damage that he's not going to appreciate.
Oh, she followed through on that threat. We've got the rest of her story coming up next.